What's up, guys? We're back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at a Walmart exclusive. We've got our Clone Wars ARC Trooper. Now, this is not the CG show line. This is the original animated series, so the little mini episodes that came out, what, 20-ish years ago. I was a big fan of them at the time. I mean, it was kind of an event when they came out, and they also had an accompanying toy line that had this style of packaging. They were really heavily focused on the actual designs for the show when it came to that toy line. So they were a little bit different at the time, and I was very much into those. These guys are, of course, basically just repaints done up in sort of the style of this show. So we've got them here on some 50th anniversary card backs. So you've got the recreation of this particular packaging from that original toy line. So the figure there in the window, the Clone Trooper helmet as the backer card, and then you've got some actual animation artwork in the corner for our ARC Trooper, and then the back of the box gives us another shot of the Trooper, and then a little bit more as far as like still artwork, little black and white drawings to give it, a nod to the animation itself. So I really do like the packaging for these. Kind of hits the nostalgia button for me because, again, really enjoyed the show, and I really liked those figures. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Clone Wars ARC Trooper. Now, this guy is, of course, very par for the course when it comes to Black Series, especially when it comes to current style troopers. So this guy does have the updated articulation where we're talking single pinless joints, which I actually do prefer at this point. Range of motion notwithstanding, it's still a cleaner look in many ways, and I think that this is a pretty decent figure. I mean, I don't know that I need to go crazy trying to get more of these guys, but it's a cool design. Like, it's undeniably a cool design, and I think it translates decently into figure form. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. Again, you kind of already know what to expect for the most part. Head can look up about that far. You've got the movable antenna. He can look down. No tilt, really. You've got rotation. Arms, of course, go out at the shoulder. Now, there is a bunch of stuff in the way on these guys. They still have the shoulder pads on them, and they have, the breastplate here. So things are going to get in the way a little bit. You can swivel them, of course. They can't go all the way around because of the pauldrons. You do have your slight butterfly joint in there. There's, of course, no bicep swivel on this particular figure. You've got your single-jointed rotating elbow, though. So you've got swivel there, and it's better than 90, it's just good. I mean, it looks okay. It's a little bit more functional, I still think, than the older ones because the pads always got in the way. You've got rotation, and you've got hinges at those wrists, so, normal stuff. We've got our torso cut here, so he goes backwards, forwards pretty good. Tilt side to side is still really nice, and then you've got full rotation, nothing in the way there. Legs, of course, are going to be a different story, so we've got a rubbery skirt piece down here. It's not cloth. So that's about as far as you're going to get those legs to go. Forward, they will go all the way, but you're going to have to fight it as well because, look, there's a lot of stuff there. Backwards is pretty decent. You do have your thigh twist up there. We've got our single-jointed knees, which still go back pretty far. And then you've got rotation at the knee. And then we've got rocker, which is okay. Rocker's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Back kick on that ankle is surprisingly good for this one. It's able to get just up over the lip of that armor well enough, and then forward just fine. So, for the most part, it's a standard trooper. There's really no surprises on this guy. The only thing that's truly bothersome or cumbersome is the fact that there's so much restriction at the hips and at the waist and the thigh area, but at the same time, you take one look at this guy and you instantly know that that's going to be a problem. So it's not surprising, it's unfortunate, but it's not exactly a surprise either. Now, aesthetically, this is truly where my interests lie for this figure because, if you really wanted to, you could go crazy and try to army build this guy and have just a specific Clone Wars animated style group. Or he could just be a squad leader or something, and you can have just one amidst a small group of regular Phase 1 clone troopers. This figure, however, is actually a lot of reuse, and it's real specific reuse, as best I can tell. I wasn't really sure, but I'm almost positive this is basically just a repaint of the Clone Wars, the Target ones, the Echo figure. So it's got the same kind of pauldrons, it's got the same skirt piece, it's got the same shins and everything like that. I could be wrong. I have a hard time keeping track of Black Series parts anymore. just because there's, every week there's a new trooper, so I'm not sure which one came first, but this is really similar to him, which is fine because that's a pretty solid figure. And honestly, this looks pretty good. For the most part, I don't really have too many concerns. The one thing that I kind of wish they had changed is that I wish they had made the holsters for his guns gray, because, even on the packaging art, they're gray. So I wish they had been made that way here as well. But overwhelmingly, this is a pretty cool looking figure, and it undoubtedly will draw some attention amidst a sea of just white troopers on your shelf. I really liked a lot of the older cloned, captains, commanders, sergeants, stuff like that, lieutenants that we'd gotten over the years, just because they kind of add a touch of color. A sea of clone troopers or stormtroopers is cool, but to have somebody like at the front of that group leading them on your shelf is also something that does it for me too. So this guy looks pretty solid. I don't have too many complaints as far as paint goes. For the most part, it is pretty cleanly applied. It's not perfect. There's a little, haziness to some of the lines and, maybe a little bit of slop here and there, but overwhelmingly, nothing in particular is truly jumping out at me. He does look a little bit, more bulky than some other troopers because he's got the pauldrons on and just this torso piece in general. You've got this little lip on the front here, this little added breastplate that makes him look a little bit bigger. The red is incredibly vibrant, it's saturated, it looks really good, and again, it just contrasts nicely to the white on the figure. And then you've got, as far as the actual skirt piece, the belt, the holsters, it does add a little bit more just busyness to this figure. Not in a bad way, it's not just a white set of armor. So he's got the straps, he's got the belt, he's got the skirt pieces. We do have our holsters that have our pistols in there, of course. And then you've got, these different kind of shins down here. None of this is painted, down here, none of this is painted. You've just got your white, but there is a little bit of added sculpt down here on the feet. And then, of course, these little notches here on the shins. So he looks pretty good. Like, I don't really have a lot to complain about on this guy because ultimately what he's going to represent on your shelf could just be something that adds a little bit of attention-grabbing detail to your clone troopers, just to kind of zhuzh them up a little bit. And then, of course, he's got his backpack here, which does look really nice. Like, it actually has... Honestly, I'm surprised by what paint is on this. I kind of figured it would just be cast in black and be done, but it has a surprising number of hits of gunmetal color here. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, which, I don't know, go figure. They put some attention on the backpack of all places, but I'm happy with it because it does make some of that sculpt stand out and just look a little bit better. Now we've got our helmet, our bucket up here, and it's pretty familiar territory for the most part. This is probably where the paint is the worst on this guy because some of the red just sort of bleeds from spot to spot. So you've got, of course, the stripe across and the stripe down, and it's pretty clean, but there's a little bit too much up here on the top for me, and then it's kind of hazy on the fin. But it still looks good, especially when you're far enough back, you really can't tell anyway. The visor is thankfully painted really cleanly, really crisp, and that black really hits nicely against that red. So he does look pretty good. It's a very familiar helmet in design and everything like that, but it looks nice with all of this added paint. So again, very, very familiar figure, familiar design, just with a few added details, really does make a bit of a difference to make this guy stand out amongst your other troopers, or to make for a really cool looking squad if you're going to go down that route. Now, when it comes to accessories, you're going to get exactly what you think you get with something like this. He's not just a regular clone trooper, so of course he gets a little bit extra. He does have the holsters, so he gets extra guns outside of the norm, but it's all normal clone trooper stuff, which for the most part I'm okay with. So we do get 2 of the pistols. They may not be the most accurate to the source, but they're pretty close. So you get the 2. We've seen these a billion times at this point. Just black, nothing on them. They fit in the holsters really nicely though. I've got no problems. They're not sticking in there. They weren't hard to get in. None of that stuff. We get the standard clone trooper blaster. Again, we've seen this, I don't know how many times. I got a bag of them at this point. No paint again, and then we get the blaster rifle, which I have, I don't know, at least as many, I'm sure, but this is usually my preferred for a clone trooper. I love this gun. I just think it looks cool. I wish it had some paint on it, just anything to make it, stand out, a little bit of a wash. but it's still a cool gun. So you got options here, and you can, you know, if you really need to, like me, you know, you can have all of his guns on him at any time if you want, although that might look slightly goofy, but he does have a few options, at the very least, if not for the fact that it's all the stuff we expect to get and have gotten for a decade now. So yeah, overall, this is a pretty solid figure. You know, honestly, I have not been keeping up with a lot of the exclusive troopers that have been coming out. I'm nowhere near as much of a completionist with Black Series as I used to be because honestly, there's just so much stuff coming out that I don't really care about. But this guy is one that I just had to get because of what it is. It's specifically referencing that animated series. It comes on a really cool card back, which, you know, I mean, it's in the trash now, but it does something for me just to see a figure packaged that way. It makes it that much more exciting to get one of these. And then, you know, this is, of course, the more updated Clone Trooper. It is using a lot of newer parts, and the paint, for the most part, is pretty well done. It looks really cool amongst other Clone Troopers, too. So again, you know, I said it 15 times, he's gonna pop on your shelf, especially if you put him with just a squad of plain white troopers. So that's going to do it for this look at the Walmart exclusive Black Series Clone Wars ARC Trooper. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.